Hi. I'm not showing my head because I've got a stinking cold and I look like a zombie. I don't think you need to have that inflicted on you, and I certainly don't want it on the internet for all posterity, looking like an unholy creature from the depths. So today I'm going to be a disembodied voice, which is an exciting, shake-up of events, isn't it? Yes. So, it feels a bit weird. I am here, I promise. And we're going to do the normal stuff. We are going to look at the things we look at every week, which is change, dealing with the new and improved things that happen to us in publishing, achieving reach, getting our books out there, selling or distributing our books far and wide as far as we can, into as many interested hands as we can find. We're going to be looking at expertise, which means making sure that where there's the appetite, we are all levelled up and we have the relevant skills and knowledge and experience to be able to excel at this lark. We're going to be going in depth into certain areas, and we shall be doing all of this at speed. So this is what we do every week. We go through these particular areas and I choose topics that reflect these areas sensibly. We often talk about things that have changed in consonants, features that we've released, improvements that we've made, insights that we've had, that sort of thing. But this week I'm going to address one particular set of potential customers in particular. And that set of customers is, and if this is you, hi, it's publishing assistants who are quite new to the role. Because sometimes when you're faced with a new job, a new team, and a new system, I feel like that's entirely appropriate for us to offer a little bit of extra support, a bit of an olive branch of hope out to you, just to give you a bit of an orientation and a sense of what is this system that you're having to use at work, what's it for, how do I use it, scream into the void. So I'm going to use the normal structure that we have on our live stream every week. And by the way, if you're thinking, oh my God, this is me, she's talking to me, you need to subscribe to this live stream, because every week we're going to be drip feeding useful things that may come up in the moment. You are not going to be able to learn everything about A, publishing, B, consonants in one pithy 45-minute swoop. So, you need to stay tuned. You need to subscribe to this live stream channel thing. It happens every Thursday afternoon, so that's fine. But so today we are going to be looking at your day one, your first time at work. Now, you might have got this job after a publishing qualification. You might have got this job because it's your second or third or fourth job in the industry, or you might be an industry switcher. I don't know. But what I do know is that anytime I've started a new job, I have been freaking out on the inside, trying not to ask too many stupid questions, trying to look like I'm competent and that, I belong there. And I need all of the help I can get from the people and the systems around me. So first up, we're going to think about what happens on day one and as it relates to consonants. I'm afraid I can't help you with your team, who I'm sure are delightful. Excuse me. But I can help you with the computer system that you're going to find yourself in front of. So somebody will have said, here's your new computer, here's your desk if you're in an office, bunch of people. If you're not, you'll be sitting in your living room wondering what to do next. But you'll certainly be on a computer and you'll have looked at your email, and your email will have said, welcome to Constance. This is your publishing management system that the team uses. And so let's just have a think and a talk about what you're going to see, what you're going to expect this system to do. Because it's going to sit alongside other systems that you're going to have to work with. And you have probably worked with things like Microsoft Teams before, and Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft Word. You've possibly worked with systems that are a bit like those Microsoft products. So Google Sheets is like the Excel equivalent. Google Docs is like the Word equivalent. You'll have a calendar, maybe Google Calendar, maybe Outlook Calendar. I don't even know what the Microsoft thing is. You'll have an email, we call it client, something like Outlook or Gmail. And you'll be logging into all of these things. And one of the things that you'll be logging into is this thing called Consonance. And you'll notice, because you'll be logging into it, that it's a website. You will go to a browser. And when I say browser, I mean something like Firefox or Chrome or Edge. You might be on a Mac, you might be on a PC. Doesn't really matter when it comes to the internet. It's the same sort of way that you're going to interact with any other internet-based software. And what that means is that you go to the address bar at the top of the page and you navigate to a particular web page and you type in your username and password to get into it. So when you're working with Consonance, you should be thinking, it's just a website. I know websites. I know that something that looks like a link is going to do something like take me to another page. I know that something like a ... is going to trigger a drop-down menu. I know that there's going to be a search bar at the top. Great. I know what I'm looking at. So look for the clues that you already know about. You already know how websites work. There's a header, there's a footer, there's a blob at the top there that looks like your account. You are safe to rely on the normal internet signals that you get from any website. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that everything that I say is going to be dependent on whether your team have adopted Consonance in particular ways. For instance, later on I'm going to talk about to-dos to help you understand your workflow and project management. Now, Consonance is the sort of website where you can use a lot of it or a little of it. So if anything I say, you think, oh, but I don't see that in my version of Consonance, then don't panic, nothing's gone wrong. You can ask internally, you can ask your team, she said this on the internet, am I meant to be able to see it? But if you're still in that kind of trying to seem supremely independent, you can absolutely ask us. So the way that we sell software to publishers, we sort of, publishers get in touch with us saying, hey, we're looking for a system, can you help? These are the problems we're trying to solve. We need to send Onyx. We'll get to that. We need to send Onyx out. We need to have one version of the truth. We need to run our royalties. And then us, the team here at Consonance, because there are people behind the website pulling the strings, we talk to customers, agree that we're going to go ahead, and then we import all of your data into your account. So when you come to the account that you've been given, you'll see all of the products or works listed, and these are the ones that the team are publishing or are looking at or are somehow managing. It's really unlikely that you wouldn't see a list of products and works. I mean, that's kind of a necessary step. It's possible, though, that when you get to to-dos or production runs, your team might not be using Consonance for those particular aspects. So you can totally ask around within the team, but you can also raise a ticket and ask us. So, as I say, we we work with publishers in the abstract. When we talk about one of our clients, we're talking about the publishing company. The publishing company has lots of users. You're one of the users. And what we like to do is to be able to have conversations, like one-to-one conversations with each individual user. And there's no kind of big recording going on. There's no management account reporting where at the end of every month we say, we had the following 16 tickets and we're going to charge you for 16 tickets worth of interaction. We charge a flat rate. It's all paid for. So you, by using the system, by raising a ticket, there's no like flags going off anywhere, and there's no extra money being spent. You are absolutely at liberty to click that raise a ticket thing, which sends us an email. You know, you type in what your question is, sends us an email. But it just, that's it. There are no repercussions. From our point of view, we really like that because we want to be able to get clear, unfiltered feedback and insight into what each of our users is struggling with, achieving, looking for help with. We find it irritating when questions all get funneled through one super user on a client site and then come to us, because something always gets lost in translation. And it's not fair for the individual who just wants to ask a question to have to follow some sort of in-depth process. So I just wanted to make it clear that raising a ticket is peril-free. No one from your end is going to know that you've raised a ticket. There's no reporting back. There's no extra cost. On the flip side, it means that you have got a safe space where you can send what you might characterise as a stupid question. There are no stupid questions, this we know. But, you know, if you're struggling, thinking, oh, I just don't know anything, drop us a line, raise a ticket. That goes to the same place as support@consonance.app. It's just all emails. So if you can't remember where I sort of pointed to, I mean, it's account and raise a ticket. But, you know, if you can't get into the system for some reason, you can email support@consonance.app, go to the same place. We will all be really happy to help and happy to hear from you. Okay, so day one, you have got into the system, fantastic. You are faced with something that will look a little bit like this, probably a little bit more fulsome. When I do a live stream, I am using a fake account because, of course, I can't splatter real data all over the internet. That's not appropriate. So what we're looking at here is a version of Consonance that's on my computer, and it's got fake data in it so that I can, you know, share it on YouTube and there's no bad thing that's going to happen. So when you go to your account, the page will look roughly like this, but there will be your team's data in the system. And so you can look at this page and you can start to sort of notice any patterns, but I want to take you to a few pages that are going to get you sort of oriented into what your team is working on as quickly as possible. And this is a day one activity. So if you've got this far, you've really broken the back of it. You're doing really well. Let's have a look at some of the big shapes so that tomorrow on day two you can think, okay, roughly speaking, I know that I go to this place for my email, this place to my calendar, and this place for all of my bibliographic metadata. And so the place I want you to look is menu up here. It's this ... I mean, it's an icon that is used on the internet for to indicate menu. But you can see that when I hover over it, there's a pop-up thing that occurs. Consonance has been designed to be accessible in the sense of accessible via whichever route you intend to interact with it. So if you're a keyboard person, then tab, tab, tab will work really nicely. And you can see that there's outlines that show so that you can sort of see on the page where you are, but also your screen reader will be able to tell you on the page where you are. So that structure should work out for you. So if you're a keyboard person, start to figure out the tab order. If you're a mouse person, start to figure that sort of stuff out. If you're a screen reader person, start seeing our sort of patterns for how we've described certain data elements on the page. Again, feedback always useful. And in fact, people encountering the system on day one and, week one, it's probably one of the most useful times for us to kindly ask you for feedback, because you're coming into it with completely fresh eyes, no sort of learned ways of just sort of getting through a dodgy interface to figure out what you want. It's really valuable. So if you do notice anything at this point, really, really keen to hear from you. It's very, very valuable. Anyway, so however you want to get to this menu, and then, it's saying there, I can open it by pressing Control and Control rapidly, one after the other. So I can press Control, Control. That will trigger this menu. I can click on it as well. And yes, there's a lot that suddenly sort of bursts into your field of view, or a lot that your screen reader will start barking at you. But this is a great way to just feel out the scope of consonants. What even is the sorts of information that we're looking at here? And right at the heart of the system is this idea of metadata. Metadata is a thing that exists in all products, all industries. It's data that describes data. And of course, in the book trade, there's a lot of data to describe our publications. I don't think we have a single client who does not have all of their product and work metadata within consonants. It's kind of the point of the exercise. So you can be assured that the products and the works within your account are meaningful to the rest of your team. In publishing, we tend to, still in 2026, we still tend to think of the front list and the back list. Front list being, anything that's published around about now, up to about 12 months out from here or whatever. Backlist is, never look back, got to keep publishing. It's everything that's come before. And of course, that's oftentimes where much of the revenue and profit comes from. The well-performing publications from the days of yore that remain on the Waterstones core stock list, paying all of the bills whilst we experiment into the future. So we'll have a look at some product lists in a moment. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that this is the main menu. It gives this sense of what consonants does. So we've got metadata management and then a bunch of other stuff around it. We've got project management. So how do you know what you're meant to be doing to deliver these books? If your job is editorial assistant, that's going to be everything. And you're just meant to magically know when it needs to be done. And everyone's going to be very stressed if you don't do it. So project management we'll have a good look at to get this sense of, how do you know what's expected of you and when you're meant to do it and what happens when you've done it and all of that stuff. By production over here, we mean the act of getting a book created into the world. I'm deliberately trying to avoid using the word print because you don't print a digital download audio file and you don't print an EPUB. But they do need to be produced somehow. So production runs often, honestly, do end up being print runs. But you're thinking here about producing the actual books. You might have a department in your new company called production, as opposed to editorial. So editorial are commissioning and line editing and getting the manuscript into a decent state, and then production are doing the layout, the design, the typesetting, sending it back to editorial for proofreading perhaps, so that there's interaction there, which is why project management is so important. So that's what we mean by production. Yeah, I was going to say these headings, these features within consonants, they almost mirror divisions and departments within the company, within your company, but not quite, because everyone has a finger in the pie of metadata, and everyone should be working to the same hymn sheet, following the same project management paths. But they do shake out a little bit into, roughly editorial, roughly production, roughly finance, rights, sitting on their own bravely, generating all the money, and then other stuff to support it. So we've also got contracts and royalties in here. Perfectly possible that you will only see the word contracts here. If you don't see royalty runs and statements and advances, it's because it's not your problem. And I wouldn't agitate for that. I would take that as a win, and focus on all of the other things that need doing. But if you do see royalty runs and statements there, then that's because consonants is a great place to get these books out into the world, and also to get back to our authors and our contributors the value that we have generated for them, and that comes in the form of royalties. We've got rights here separately, because sometimes rights, contracts, royalties, permissions all get bundled into the same bucket. They couldn't be more different. I'm going to cough, excuse me. The rights teams, and hopefully you'll have a induction with them, and they'll explain this to you, but rights teams sit kind of straddling editorial, straddling production, taking the intellectual property that the commissioning editors have secured for the organisation, and then have found ways to make sure that it gets even wider spread by licensing that intellectual property in all of its various forms out into the world, to other publishers, to other potential creators of product. So it's important to us that rights teams are supported within consonants, because they rely on all of the other departments to do a really great job of making clear where everyone is in the process. The rights team can't finalise a rights deal if they haven't been able to send a first draft TypeScript off to a potential new publisher. So they need to make sure, they need to interact with the production team and the editorial team to know when that's ready. So Constance is a great place to find that sort of information. A few other boxes here. We've got data exchange. So this is like bulky ways. Is that the right word? No. Ways to get data in and out of consonants at scale. So we're not talking about like copying a single ISBN 13 onto the pasteboard and then pasting it somewhere else. We're talking about taking an entire spreadsheet of 10,000 records and having consonants slurp that in so that you don't have to type 10,000 things. So data exchange is kind of, batch, bulk, efficient, mass data management. And that's data in and data out as well. I think we're going to look at that in about week 6. So we'll look at that. People and organisations, excuse me. Feel so ill. Hang on. People and organisations. We're talking here about any kind of entity that you come across, that you and the team come across, where you need to maintain a relationship with them. That could be authors, very likely. But it could also be literary agents or printers or data aggregators or a fulfillment centre or a distribution centre address. We will be talking a lot about one version of the truth, and that goes almost double for contacts. It's so easy for contacts details to change, but for only one person in the organisation to know about it. So this is a classic kind of, let's make sure that we have an up-to-date address for all of our authors. We have up-to-date email addresses. We have up-to-date lists of their interests in bespoke tags against their record. So that's a great area. And then finally, the first box on the list, I suppose, which I didn't sort of stop to look at, is insights. And what I want to do is get you up to speed on the kind of the core performance of Consonance as a piece of software, and do that quickly so that you are able to turn into the person in the team that everyone comes to because you know the answers. And the way that you're going to get to know the answers is by being able to interrogate the data that everyone shares, and be able to know exactly where stuff is stored and be like the defender of the truth. And so we're going to be looking at Data Studio, which is like an advanced search engine. So, think about when anyone asks you a question in the real world, what do? You like sneakily go straight to Google, don't you? And this is going to be a bit like Google, but for your data. It's going to be a little bit more intense and a little bit more structured, and it's only going to give you back information about data that's in the system. But, it's... You can't magic up answers to what's the pub date for this next work, or what sort of paper are we going to print this important book on that everyone's shouting about. So what I'm keen on achieving is you being able to find data in the system and be able to get it quickly and basically impress people in the team. I want you to be the person who is a trusted source, with the skills to be able to get the information that you need. Critically, I'm not talking about bullshitting. I'm talking about using your one version of the truth to find the accurate, truthful information quickly. I'm not encouraging you to start blurting out stuff just because you think people need to have a quick answer. So I think we've done day one. We have got your computer ready. We've got you into Consonance, and I've explained to you that what Consonance is for in your overall systems landscape. It's for the data about your products, and the main menu is a great way to get that sort of at a glance. What does this system do again? Lovely. Let me go back to my PowerPoints, because we've done day one. You can go home exhausted yet happy. But now let's go to week 2, because the immediate fear has hopefully worn off a little bit. And now it's getting to the point where you actually have to do stuff. So somebody is going to drop some manner of problem onto your desk, and we're going to solve it by changing something in the system. Now, the previous slide was headed change, and I think it's true to say in every part of publishing and in every job ever, everything changes all the time. People change their minds, external factors mean that plans have to change, so I need you to get really comfortable with editing data. So if you're an editorial assistant, that may well be focused around metadata. So we're going to go to Cats Throughout History now, which is, as I say, an imaginary book. And we're going to have a look at how you can find out what the current data looks like and then how to change it. So I'm going to, remember I said it's a website, all links are links. So I'm going to click on Cats Throughout History, and you can see the, what do you call it? The thing with the time, sand timer? I can't even remember what it's called. Oh my God, my brain. Egg timer, could be an egg. Anyway, the thing that indicates that a new page is loading has just appeared on the browser here, and you've navigated to a new page. So we are now, all of the information on this page is going to be about Cats Throughout History. So on this main menu up here, this was like company level. If you click on any of these things, you're looking at everything in the company. Now we're only looking at the information to do with cats throughout history. And you can see I've got new options to go to. I've got my own set of insights that I could go to. I could look at the sales. I could look at the audit trail to see who changed what on this record. I can look at some project management things. So again, to-dos, but only for cats throughout history this time. Tracked copies, but only copies of cats throughout history that we've sold. That we've sent out, I mean. We've got production information. Oh, fiddle, I pressed it. Don't look, it's fine. Production information, so that's production runs, producing copies of cats throughout history. What paper is it on? What are the dimensions? Who's the printer? How many are we ordering on the first print run? Then I've got contracts and royalties, so I can see the sales reports. I've got my own page for rights and permissions, and I've got my own page for some exports. Data exchange, do you remember? That's how we get data in and out of consonants. And here I've got PDF exports. I've got Onyx. If you know about Onyx, then that's where Onyx is. If you don't know about Onyx, we'll cover that another time. But it's a format for structuring metadata so that when you send some data from consonants to another system, it is very, very clear to that other system what you're talking about. So rather than sending an email saying, hello, the publication date has changed from the 1st of April to the 1st of May, instead you send that information in a very structured form, a bit like HTML. It's in a pre-agreed XML format. And then when the other person gets that information, they know exactly what bit of data you have just changed. And that's all Onyx is. A lot of data changes flying from you to Nielsen to Waterstones to Bowker to EBSCO to whoever else, so that you can sell your books. And one of your big challenges and tasks is making sure that consonants is up to date, because this is the source of truth for the data that's going out to Amazon, Waterstones, Gardeners, Nielsen. So that's one of the key points there. When we came to this page, we landed on the overview. We're on Insights Overview. And we've got a summary of the products at the top. We've got a summary of the contributors, the main description. We've got a summary of some quality checks. And we've got a summary of some project management information. But what you have just been told to do is change something on cats throughout history. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to make the bold guess that it's something to do with cats throughout history's metadata. Let's pretend that it is a different price. Just for the sake of argument. So I'm going to take you to the metadata page now, and we're going to see all of the different sorts of information that we consider to be metadata. So I've clicked on metadata. Even more options now. I've got this scroll spy. If I scroll down this page, watch where it says identity and it's underlined. That is going to change as I scroll down. So now I'm on format. Now I'm on nearly on pricing. Then I get onto publishing and onto marketing, contributions, audiences, subjects, files and contents. Scamper back up to the top of the page. You can click on each of these individual you can click on each of these individual links and it will jump you to the part of the page that's concerned with that area. So if I click publishing, we're going to move from identity. Ready? Click. Now we're on publishing. I can click to go to subjects. So here's subjects, watch publishing here, and ready, click. Now I'm on subjects. So you can move around the page that way. You can also use this filter at the top, and I find this a very relaxing feature, because when you're coming to this page and it's like, oh my God, there's so much data. What do I do? If I'm thinking, all I want to do is just simply change the price, and I type price there, and now suddenly the only thing on this page is pricing, and I can think, okay, fine, one thing at a time. Good. So, use the filter if you want a little bit of clarity and headspace. So I've got some prices here. Immediately, we've got some colourful blobs, and this is going to be a great time for me to talk to you about the family tree of how data is structured within consonants. And it's not just consonants. This is how it's structured in the Onyx standard, how it's structured on other people's systems that you will interact with in publishing. Nielsen will know what you're talking about. Anyone who takes a data feed will know what you're talking about. Printers will know what you're talking about. So it's not a special fancy consonants thing. It's just how publishing is structured. And we are on a page called Cats Throughout History. Now, what does that represent? Because it doesn't say Cats Throughout History paperback. It doesn't say Cats Throughout History paperback ebook, and then the audiobook is missing somehow. This page is at the work level. Now, it's something that irritates me quite a lot, that a lot of people in publishing use basically the wrong words for things. When I say work, what your colleagues will likely say is title. And that irritates me because a title is a set of words that are usually printed on the front cover, or they appear on the ebook cover design. The title is the set of words like Cats Throughout History. And if you call a work a title, you end up having to say weird things like, what's the title's title? And I mean, that's a clue, isn't it? That you might want to not do that. You might also want to say, what's the product's title? And if this word title is ambiguous, that question might be, well, what do you mean? Do you mean what's the set of words that go on the front of the cover? Or do you mean what is its parent? Anyway, so when you see the word title within consonants, be assured that it means the string of words that appears on the cover design. But this metadata page is at the work level. And a work has many products. So you don't sell a work, unless you're in the rights team maybe, where you're selling the intellectual property. But that's just the thing. The work is it's like the words in abstract. You don't go into Waterstones and buy a work. No, you go into Waterstones and you buy a paperback, or you buy a hardback, or you go to an online retailer and you buy the PDF version, or you buy the EPUB version. So we call those things products. So a work has many products. And so when we went on the pricing section there, we've got this idea of a paperback, and the paperback's price is $19.99. So you can see immediately that when you go to the metadata page for any work, you're also going to find product information there, because a work has many products. It's perfectly possible that a work just has the one product. You know, if you only ever publish hardbacks, they're synonymous. A work is, something, and the hardback is another thing, and there's only one of each of them. But very, very few publishers are always only ever publishing one product on a work. There are various complexities there, and if you've worked in publishing for a while, you might be thinking, but what about if we had a work, it was in its second edition, it had an audio version, and it had a paperback product. What happens if we want to put the narrator onto this work in the contributions section? What would that look like? Because you can't have a narrator on a paperback. That just doesn't make sense. So, oh my God, has consonants broken? So we're diving into some deep complexity now, but it's worth just saying that in that case, we assume that that the usual path is going to be the case in consonants. But when it isn't, we've got ways to opt out of it. So let's say that Cats Throughout History has a narrator, and we might want to say that that person is there. By default, all of the products are selected. But what we're going to do is unselect the products that shouldn't have a narrator, and then we're going to press save. And now we're going to see that this EO3, if I expand it, we'll see a bit more. This narrator, it's a contributor to the AJ, but it's not a contributor to the BB, the BC and the DG. And this fake data is driving me mad because I've got this audio download and it's got a format of PDF. So let's go and change that, and that'll be exciting. This is the trouble with having imaginary data on an imaginary account, isn't it? So let's change this to audio. Do we even have audio? Maybe not. Okay, we'll change that to nothing and we'll leave that as an audio download. Lovely stuff. So now my AJ downloadable audio file contributions, that's the only product on this work that has got a narrator. And you'll see that pattern in a few other places. Classic one is a review. If you get a review in for the audiobook product, and it's going on about the reader's mellifluous tones or something, that really doesn't make sense if you put that on the hardback. So you can do the same sort of thing in various different places where it makes sense. On the flip side, if we were to go to the subjects area, I don't think I've ever encountered a work where the products have got different subjects. I mean, that would be very odd, wouldn't it? If the hardback and the paperback had a different, were a different subject code. Like if it's about cats as pets, the hardback and the paperback are going to be about cats as pets. And if there's any question about that not being the case, then you're looking at some deeper problems, because that should be a separate work, I think. So there we go. So this is your rapid fire introduction to the metadata page. All manner of information is on here. I would recommend finding a work from the team's list that you actually have a copy of in front of you, going to the metadata page for this work, scrolling down it and like matching up what you see here to the reality of what you have in front of you. I said that we were going to come here and change the price. Let's do that now. We will. We're looking at the price for this this audio download, and I just want to make sure that you know how this page works, because when it's loaded like this, we're in kind of data reading mode. I'm looking at this screen, or I'm having my screen reader read it to me, and it says that the price is $19.99, and there's no save button. There's no way to change that information. I'm in like accessing information mode. But if I want to change it, then you can see that as I'm hovering, it's saying double click to edit. There's also an edit button here. So when I get into edit mode, so I'm going to click on that edit button. Now I'm in edit mode, and now this data looks like it's ready to be changed. And I've got a save button, and I've got a cancel button in case I didn't want to do that. And I'm able to make these changes. On every field within consonants, I've got a little help icon. And if I click on that, I'm going to be deluged with information. The reason why it's behind a little help icon is that you do not want to see that flood of information on an already, extremely busy page. So if you want to find out more about what you're meant to be filling in, click on that. And if that makes no sense to you, hot tail it over to Raise a Ticket and say, I'm really sorry, I'm completely baffled. What does GBP Inc. tax mean? Is this the field I'm meant to be changing? And we will be so happy to either point you in the direction of better information than you can find, or talk you through your specific case there. So let's go in the path of capitalism and increase the price to £24.99. And then, so I've changed that. There will be a save button. So you press save, and now that has changed, and we've flipped back into reading only mode. So that is how you make a change. That's how you edit metadata. Every piece of information, I think I'm right in saying this, every piece of information that goes in an Onyx feed, it's going to be on the metadata page somewhere. So even though we're looking at all of these zillions of different pages, oh my goodness, such a big system. If you need to look at or change metadata, this is one page to do it on. Now there's ways to do it in bulk, there's ways to do imports, but we're only in week 1 at the moment, so let's keep it straightforward. You come to the metadata page when you want to change or look at the metadata for a particular work. Right. So you've made an edit. Congrats. Time passes. Let's have a look at what's happening at the end of the month. Because you are starting to get familiar with the tools available, but time is passing and publication deadlines are fast approaching. So I want to introduce you to the workflow tools within Consonance. So we're going to go to, this is going to be the first time that we go to the Data Studio. So we looked on the main menu here. There is a link to Data Studio, but it's so important and so useful that it's got its own separate link as well, because this is where you do reporting. But it doesn't have to be formal. This is where you dip into the system to find the damn thing that you're trying to find and do it quickly. So we're not going to just be at the individual work level now. We're going to be back up at your company level, and we're going to Data Studio. Now, Data Studio has got its own dashboard, and we can have a look at the different things on here. But you'll quickly get into the habit of knowing that you've either saved some searches for yourself that you always come and revisit, or you'll create a new search and just start from scratch each time. So let's assume that you're coming to this page, and of course you'll not have seen any saved searches. You won't have any unsaved searches. You're going to be doing a new search for the first time. So why have we come here? You want to know what people expect you to do. So, joining the dots between that question and being on a page called Data Studio, that might be a bit odd. So let's have a read of what this page does. Data Studio brings all your data together so you can analyse it, edit it, turn it into spreadsheets and PDFs and more. So when you want to find a bit of information, and when you're not sure that it's the sort of information that you'll just find by clicking around at the work level, then come to Data Studio. Click a new search. Nothing bad will happen when you click a new search. Lovely. You can, read the sorts of things that I'm about to say now. But you can see that a search within Data Studio, within Consonance, has got 2 parts. It's got filters, which we're going to fill in a moment. And then it has your desired outcome. Your desired outcome could be anything. We've come here to look at, what is on my to-do list? What am I meant to be doing? What are other people expecting me to do? But if I click on this desired outcome list, there are lots of other questions that can be answered by coming here. You might be asked to download advanced information sheets or catalogues or something. You might want to get a spreadsheet out because publishing is still completely obsessed with spreadsheets. You might want to look at the Lightning Source print-on-demand sidecar data. I mean, that's super specific, but someone could have said, we need to get this data up onto Lightning Source. Completely valid desired outcome. So there's loads of lists that you could be adding in. There's loads of downloads. There's some ways to bulk edit data as well, all sorts of things. So those are the sorts of desired outcomes that we'll see. Just for now, I'm going to list products. because that's going to give us a nice list of products, using the name. So let's just spend a little bit of time looking at filters. When we say filters, we are filtering all of your data. The first box gives a sense of what fields you can filter on. The very first one is called product title. Now again, you know, coming back to how important words are, wouldn't that be weird if when you see the word title, you think, do they mean work? Because filtering on the product's work makes no sense at all. So sure enough, title here is the words that are printed on the cover of the paperback or whatever. So there's things like that, product title. Product publication date is a super useful one. You know, if you don't want to find out what happened to books that were published in 1972, you're interested in products that were published on or after, and you can pick a date, on or after this week. So that can be a really useful one. You can have multiple filters. So, you know, we can say, okay, we want the products published in a particular date range, and we also want to only pull back. And then look, there's a large number of different ways that you can whittle down your search here. And you'll get used to it. And a lot of these you probably won't ever touch. But you know, the thing with systems like this is you want the thing that you need in the moment to be available to you. And it's incredible how specific queries get, you know, sooner rather than later. So that's great. And you can leave filters completely blank and just see a desired outcome, which is a complete list of things. And I'll do that now. So I'm going to list my products and I'm going to press search. And this is what I get, list of all my products. And it's hopefully as you'd expect. I mean, it looks a bit like a spreadsheet. We've got the product title. These are sortable. So if you click up and down, you can sort them by that column. Product form code. And if you hover on some of these things, it gives you a bit of throws you a bone to say, what does this Onyx code actually mean? And it'll scroll over and you can see some of that information. That might get you, that might be a sort of a blunt yet useful tool to get you the answer that you're looking for. But if not, you can use this switch to button and you can switch to one of the other more focused tools. And we came here to think, what is it that I am meant to be doing? And a great display for that is schedule. So I'm going to switch to schedule. And so for the same filtered products, I'm going to be able to see a different report for that same data. If I add a filter to only show product title contains world, lovely, then now I'm only going to see that one work. If I change that to be cats, I'm going to see all of the products where the title contains the word cats, which is a few more. And yeah, this is a particular report where it shows all of the to-dos that are due on these works that match the filters. And now I'm going to be able to dip in and see, okay, yeah, right, there's the detail of that. But you know, we came here to look at the things that you are responsible for, and there are some filters to help you with that. So if we look at to do, assignee contains Emma, which is my name, then I'm going to be able to see, okay, these are the works where I'm implicated with something. So, you know, there's all sorts of ways where you can start to do some sort of filtering, see what there is there, but then kind of drill down into more and more of the detail to refine your question down as you go. Just got a bit of an eye on the clock and my voice is going. So that's a good starting point for figuring out what people have assigned to you. maybe that they haven't actually put your name on it yet, in which case, you know, getting the title is a great idea. You can also have a look at other to-do layouts. To-do calendar by month is quite nice. You get to see all of those different to-dos all laid out in a calendar style as well, if I actually click on it. But back to the PowerPoint, because we've got 6 minutes left. We're going to have a quick look further in Data Studio about answering a colleague's question. And I think I've timed myself out actually for handling an acquisition meeting, but that's week 12 anyway. So, you know, the sorts of questions that might be asked of a colleague, we have actually captured quite a few of them. So the last thing I want to do is show you on the Data Studio dashboard where to look in case you want to have a bit more of a head start on things. So Data Studio dashboard, here we are. Look over here on the right hand side, it says library of examples. And actually what we do is add, so these are searches, these are Data Studio searches that the Consonance support team have put together and then sort of hard baked into this dashboard here so that you can click on them and you don't have to write them yourself. And actually we add to this list when we've had a really interesting support ticket in. So, you know, we get some really interesting questions like, I need to find a list of all of the works that don't have an ebook as a product. I can't quite figure out how to do it in Data Studio. Can you help? So that's an absolutely cracking one, you know, and I can absolutely imagine one of your colleagues, you know, shouting into the void in the office, we need to find out all of the works that haven't got an ebook. And so what I want you to do at that point is come over here, click on the link in the library of examples that say works which have no ebook. It is peril free. Nobody will know you're doing this. None of these library of examples are destructive. In fact, because all of these are just at the user level, no one's going to be able to see that you have created a search. So you can absolutely click on any of these just to have a look, and it's not going to break anything. So works which have no ebook, clicking on that. And there we are. I've got them. And there's complexity around this, and you can read the documentation on the library of examples if you want to see exactly how that's happened. But, you know, if there's a question that's been posed and you don't immediately see it on the library of examples here, then definitely get in touch, toot sweet, and we can help out if you don't see it in the interface here. Great. So as you can imagine, there are a zillion more things to cover, but that is why you're immediately going to subscribe to this channel. Not for fun, but because it's continuing professional development, and questions that you come across in your exciting career will be tackled and covered. We are always so interested in hearing from you about anything that you would like to be covered on the live stream. I've actually already done a live stream about handling an acquisition meeting, so in the description I will just I'll put that link in, and then we've covered it as well. But yeah, don't be a stranger. Raise support tickets. One thing I didn't mention actually is that all of our documentation is available directly in the app. So if you click on account and search documentation, then this is like a live version of all of our documentation, which is useful and searchable. It's all available on our website as well. So if you go to www.constance.app, go to support and user docs, then this is all really useful. There's a whole day-long training day on how to create marketing materials, for instance, which is advanced information sheets. This is all searchable, lovely. There's also, if you're completely overwhelmed, a Constance 101 page, which takes you to some of the documentation for certain things, like, yeah, but how do I add a new work and its products? Okay, how do I import a load of works from spreadsheets? How do I get images in? So that's quite a nice place to just start if you need to do something quickly and efficiently. Awesome. So for everyone who wasn't a publishing editorial assistant listening to that, I bet there's been some things covered that are interesting, but point your colleagues in the direction of the live stream. Give us sort of requirements, tell us what you would like to cover on the live stream so that it acts as a resource for specific people within the organisation. We could do one for senior production people, senior management, rights teams, any specific areas. But we really need to make sure that we're delivering to you the information so that you can get the most out of Consonance, and get on with your working day. So many thanks indeed for listening. Like and subscribe, tell all your friends. Have a good weekend in the boiling heat in the UK. I hope you haven't got this cold that I've got. Sorry for croaking through the whole thing. Hopefully next week I will not look like a zombie and we'll be able to join you back in the land of the live stream. Fantastic. Great. Have a good one then. See you later. Bye.